Well, plenty of entertainment in the 20 overs in Kolkata's batting. At one stage, looking at a certain score, then pegged back, again a few strokes, and then the brilliance of Arshdeep Singh, meaning that spell of 3 for 32 has kept them to a score that they certainly wouldn't have expected after a good platform at the end of 10 overs. Venkatesh Iyer was outstanding, 67 of 49, but they just didn't find that finisher towards the end to get a big one, to get to the 180 type total that, again, would have been threatening, would have been awe-inspiring almost against a team that are desperate to chase it down. Well, we can't judge it until the next 20 overs, but what we can do is discuss it right here on Cricbuzz Live in association with our fantasy partner, My 11th Circle. Joy and Harsha in the studio. First up, prediction time, 165. We have a 5-run margin either way, but it doesn't matter when you get it spot on.
It's just one of those days, you know. But I'll tell you honestly, you should have been closer because you went 171. They didn't get the finish they wanted. They were on course to getting, I thought they were on course to getting 175.
No, I think I said 175, but I still, nothing to do with predictions. Kolkata will be disappointed they didn't get there. If you saw Dinesh Karthik's reaction when he walked off, and he's not always that expressive, he whacked his bat on the advertising triangles, knowing that they might have fallen short.
True. I think it's a very good score. I mean, how many times this year has 165 been chased down? So it's a very good score, but I suspect from where they were, they've struggled. I'll tell you what I liked about this game, though. Okay, let's go down the batting order. Venkatesh Iyer 67, Rahul Tripathi 34, Nitish Rana 31, Mohammad Shami 1 for 23, Arshdeep Singh 3 for 32, Ravi Bishnoi 2 for 22. The overseas players struggled, and all the Indian players did really well. And that's something to be encouraged by. I'm not trying to say, you know what, overseas players no good. It's something to be encouraged by. And I think Mohammad Shami, if it ever needed to be done, has just sealed that spot with the way he's been bowling. There's very little doubt in my mind that on the 24th, it'll be Mohammad Shami playing for India.
I must confess, Joy, that despite following the innings and talking through all the numbers in my introduction, I did not spot that pattern. And I think, Harsha, I think that makes a huge point over here. We had some impact players. We know Owen Morgan's been out of form, but Seifert's come in to make an impact. Obviously, Nathan Ellis is there. They've seen something in him. But there's been virtually zero contribution from some decent international players, Joy.
It requires a lot of searching to find something in Seifert that you don't find in Shakib. There was a lot of searching. I mean, I'm not belittling him. He's a young player. He's done really well. But this is a bigger stage. And you're going in with a bowler shot. If it ever comes to that, because I still think that Kolkata should fancy themselves marginally ahead. But if it comes to a stage where they're searching for a bowler, then they'll start to think about that. I mean, as I said, nothing against Seifert. He's done well in other leagues around the world. But on a day like today, but I don't want to dwell on that point too much because it'll look like I'm being wise after the event. So I think I'll just stop there.
No, Harsha, you mentioned...
At least in terms of the batting order, I mean, we can obviously talk about the choice of Shakib versus Seifert. It's out of our hands. Seifert is the one who's in. Now that you've got Seifert in, how do you use him? Why is Owen Morgan walking out there when he's out of form?
See, that's one of the things that I find very difficult to understand because, if you are what Brendan McCullum says his team should be, which is that, take occasions, take their chances, play. And Brendan McCullum dwelt on this about Russell being batting in terms of overs, Russell's position being decided by overs rather than by batting position. Then why didn't people like Seifert or even Dinesh Karthik? For my book, I call Dinesh Karthik microwave. He heats up the fastest. Today is one of those rare days where, he got 11 of 11. That's not a Dinesh Karthik innings. But I would send Dinesh Karthik up. I would send Seifert up. I just do not understand Morgan going in when he's not in form and wickets have not fallen till the 12th, 13th over. So that's one thing definitely. Second thing I want to say is that, Harsha, you didn't just make the call. You had made it before the game as well. You had made it in the pre-show as well.
I'm actually going to be the pendulum. I'm going to swing back and say it wasn't easy for Seifert at the point he went out to bat. Because remember, this is for someone who's a young kid from some other place who's dreamt of playing in this tournament to suddenly come in and say, you know what, I'm playing on this stage, and you've got 10 balls to make an impact. It's not easy. So I'm not saying, you know what, why Seifert? I'm just saying, given the overall package I would have picked Shakib, it wasn't easy to come in. If a finisher like Karthik struggled, that's the only thing I will say about this score. If a finisher like Karthik struggled, then maybe it's not that easy going towards the end. And maybe it was just the brilliance of this young man who can do no wrong. You know, Venkatesh Iyer, just that made the difference.
Let's talk about that. Let's dwell on that. For what a start he's got. And I think this sort of illustrates it. Look at the company he has there. And of course, all three internationals. First 5 games in this tournament. Most runs for Kolkata. Kallis, McCullum, Lynn, and Venkatesh Iyer. I mean, imagine his family sitting or him sitting and just having a look down that list.
Screenshot. #screenshot. What, didn't 150 of those 180 of McCullum's come in one innings?
Exactly. Yeah. He got a 158 there, and then he went and got a 20 against Chennai and played 4 matches and then went back to play for New Zealand. And then he came back the next season. So the 5th game was actually played in this thing where he didn't get too many runs at all in South Africa. So yeah, I think Kallis, I mean, absolutely brilliant. But yeah, Venkatesh had to be in that company, the kind of batting. And again, what we talked about in the mid-show, Gautam, was the fact that it was riskless batting. He didn't look as if he was taking too many chances. Secondly, placement. I thought his placement was absolutely immaculate between 2 fielders, just in the gap, ball is accelerating. It was just the kind of batting that is disheartening because he dismembered the bowling. He didn't brutalize it. He dismembered it very surgically. Okay, this is the shot between this. Here's the gap here. I'm placing it there. And what he didn't look at all as if, you know, I'm taking a big chance. It may come off, it may not. And that, for me, was the highlight of his batting.
They got 44 in the back 5, didn't they, Gautam? They got 44 in the back 5. You know, this year's tournament is a bit different. We are not seeing those big Andre Russell coming in and saying, okay, we need 60 from 4 overs. Why are you giving me 4? I'll finish it in 3 kind of finishes. We're not seeing those finishes. So maybe there's something about this ball getting older. Maybe the track's getting older. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to ask the question. I mean, why do you think is the case? I mean, is it about the tracks? Because, of course, let's forget the Sharjah track for now. But stick to just this Dubai track. If there you're able to get a 76 or 80 for 1 in that first 10, or what Rajasthan had the other day, they had a huge amount, 90 for 1. Why are you not able to capitalize on that in the back 10 and get a 180-200 with good people to come? You haven't collapsed in terms of wickets, really, in most occasions.
I think it's a tough one, and I think part of it is the bowling also. The bowling has to be better as well, but it cannot explain everything. Obviously, something is happening in the surfaces. They're not getting it. We are not getting those 15-20 over, final over, this thing. So, which also means that with relevance to today's match, they will have to look at it and say that, you know, we have to get 100 in the first 10 because every team seems to be really slowing up after. So, while the ball is there, while our most reliable batsmen are our top 2 batsmen, Mayank Agarwal and KL Rahul, and they can't depend on other people to do it for them. If this has to be done.
Yeah, just one other thought. Let's look at that Nitish Rana shot. Nitish Rana's he's caught on the boundary, about a yard or so inside the boundary. I'm trying to think how many Indian grounds is that a 6 on? I mean, I do the games in Abu Dhabi. One side is always 80 meters, always. And if you use a center strip, it's sort of 81 and 80 and 75, 80 and 78 or thereabouts. Sometimes one side becomes 72, one side becomes 82, 83. I'm thinking that Nitish Rana's shot is probably a 6 at the Kotla, definitely. It's probably a 6 at the Wankhede. It's probably a 6 at Chinnaswamy. So maybe that's the difference too, that you with a slightly softer ball, you're having to hit very big to hit 6s. But then hang on, the tournament was played here last year and you were getting those scores. So maybe there's something else has changed.
Correct. And you weren't necessarily getting it from the might of a Russell. You were getting it from a Tewatia. You were getting it from so many sources, and the ball was flying to all parts. But let's just quickly come to the run chase. KL Rahul, Mayank Agarwal, they will have seen the problems at the back 10. Now, forget setting a score. You will also be telling yourself as a chasing team, where do we need to be at the 10 over mark?
80?
I think they need to be of 90, at least 90, because people have also their second half is their middle order is very hasn't proven anything. You have two new batsmen in there, Shahrukh and Fabian Allen. So you never know what they're doing. Deepak Hooda doesn't look to be in form. So yeah, it's that's the thing. They have to say we better do it among ourselves. There's not too much fair left after this.
Yeah. One other thing is, look at Morgan 2 of 2. Okay, he's out of form. Karthik 11 of 11. Seifert 2 of 4. Narayan 3 of 3. I think it was Joy was doing the adding. They got 16 in the last 15 balls or something. So what it's telling
16
me is
in the last.
Yeah. 16 last 15.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. No. What it's telling me is that you need to have a set batsman in the last 3 overs. Ideally, 2 set batsmen, but you need to have a set batsman in the last 3 overs if you want to hit those big runs.
So is that a dilemma then, Harsha, for Punjab,
Yes.
knowing that whatever's happening down in the middle order, they have no choice but to have KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal opening, obviously. That's their opening combination. But it means that their best 2 essentially are up front. And will that mean they have to play slightly risk-free cricket?
Yes, and I think they want more from Puran. Because they've given him a really long rope. They want more from Puran. Who else do they have? Joy found something funny. Tell me, Joy.
Deepak Hooda, Fabian Allen. I'm just hoping that Deepak Hooda also makes at some point. Deepak Hooda is the guy who will have to be taking the chances, because you don't want KL Rahul to take chances, or Mayank Agarwal, if he's hanging around, to take chances. Deepak Hooda go and take some chances on one side. Fabian Allen go and take chances. Let one of those top 2 bat through to the 16th, 17th over. That should got to be their recipe for success. I can't see any other way of doing it.
Well, the mantra for sure will have to be adjustment. Kolkata could not adjust in the second 10. They let it slip slightly, perhaps below par. And if that's the theme of the day, Joy, I think what you're going to do is do a little bit of a tweak on your Joy Factor question for today. Because some of the vultures have already swooped in and made a generous contribution to it.
Yes. One of the vultures have swooped in, and I made a mess up of it. There's just one change to the question. The first was achieved by a current member of coaching staff, the 5th by a current team captain, and the 3rd last by a current Chennai player. It wasn't Chennai player before that, it was Rajasthan. Who all got the last 2 was the question. This is the question in its form. But if you have already given me a correct answer and corrected my mistake, I think you're still eligible to win, obviously, because you've already given the answer. And not only have you given the answer, you've told me where I was wrong. And I mean, what is the quality of the kind of quizzers we have out there, that they get incorrect answers, they get incorrect questions right, and then tell me how to correct it as well. But it is corrected, and thank you guys.
Yeah, so I reckon what we'll do at the end of the show is we're obviously going to give you a mention and brownie points for being the one who's been the first to spot it. But we're going to also have a second right answer coming in from someone who's now seen it yet again, watching this show, and is going to come in with hashtag Cricbuzz Live with the answer. So look out for 2 names to be mentioned at the end of today's show. As far as the teams are concerned, there'll only be one name that will be picking up 2 points. Who's it going to be as we wrap up the show? Put you on the spot. Which camp are you in, Harsha, at this stage?
At this stage, I am marginally in the Kolkata camp, but not by too much. But I'm in the Kolkata camp simply because I haven't seen Punjab exhibit the kind of the approach needed to go and chase these runs down. So I'm at the moment about 60 to 65 in the KKR camp. 60-40, 65-35, thereabouts in the Kolkata camp.
Joy, nothing to do with how much time you spent over there, purely from this match perspective.
Yeah. I hate to be boring, but I'm going to go exactly with Harsha's numbers. I think at this point it's 65-35 Kolkata. Definitely.
Fair enough. I think it's just all about that opening partnership. I'll tend to say 3 out of 3, but only if I had to play devil's advocate. Is this the night when a different combination, Chris Gale's gone, he's sitting somewhere and watching it from outside the bubble, and maybe will he see them perform something? Mayank Agarwal 80, KL Rahul 80, that's the kind of start they need. In the 10th over, if they're still unbeaten, I can tell you it's going to be fun and games. We'll see you on Cricbuzz Combox, and if it's Rahul and Mayank batting, well, things might change quickly. That's all we have on Cricbuzz Live in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle.